Instagram said I was cheating. My wife didn't even let me explain. I was brushing my teeth when my wife walked into the bathroom, her face white as porcelain, holding my phone like it was radioactive. "Who the hell is Alyssa Jims 87? She asked. My mouth was still full of minty foam. I blinked, confused, rinsed, and laughed awkwardly. What? She didn't laugh. Instead, she turned the screen toward me. It was an Instagram notification. You liked a photo from Alyssa Jims 87. Below it, another one. You reacted to her story with a heart. And then, the killer, you replied, looking fire as always. Only I never did. I had never heard of Alyssa Jims 87. I hadn't liked that photo. I hadn't sent that message. But no matter how many times I said it, her face didn't change. It wasn't disbelief anymore. It was heartbreak. "Stop lying," she whispered. 12 years, Eric. We've been through miscarriages, therapy, refinancing the house, and this is how I find out. I opened Instagram, scrolling through my activity, my fingers trembling. My account showed likes I didn't remember, comments I never typed, DMs to random women I didn't know, but I hadn't sent them. I swore I hadn't. "It's a glitch," I said, trying to laugh. "Some kind of hack. I swear, babe, I didn't send this." But she was already walking out of the room, her robe trailing like a flag of surrender. For the next 48 hours, my life turned into a courtroom. She cross-examined everything. Who was Alyssa? Why did I follow so many random women? When had the messages started? I begged her to believe me. I changed my password, logged out of all devices, sent a support ticket to Meta. But their automated reply wasn't enough. She wanted proof. Physical proof that I wasn't unfaithful. She moved into the guest room. Every night, I heard her muffled sobs through the thin drywall. Our daughter, Mia, kept asking why Mommy wasn't eating dinner with us anymore. I had no answers. By day 4, I stopped going to work. I spent hours in forums, scouring threads about Instagram glitches. Found others who'd experienced phantom likes, story replies they never made, people who woke up to digital chaos. One user wrote, "My account messaged an escort in Nevada while I was asleep in Michigan." That night, I confronted Instagram support via chat. Finally got through to a real human. Explained everything. They reviewed logs, promised to investigate. Said it might be a third-party app compromise or a rare sync error during a recent update. Uncommon, they said, but not impossible. I took screenshots of every message, compiled a timeline, printed logs, circled dates, built a case like a man on trial for his soul. Then I did something desperate. I booked a session with a private tech forensic analyst, $600 for a full digital audit. A week later, the results came in. My phone had been clean. No malware. No rogue apps. But the analyst found sync anomalies with Meta server logs, messages logged from IP addresses thousands of miles away, attributed to my account due to an API error. In short, I was hacked, yes, but not by a person, by a bug. I rushed home with the report in a folder. My wife was in the kitchen, half-heartedly stirring tea. I placed the folder on the table like a peace treaty. She read it in silence. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. When she reached the summary, she looked up at me. "You really didn't do this?" she whispered. I shook my head. "No. And I'm sorry I couldn't prove it sooner." She broke. Just crumbled into my arms, sobbing. But the damage was there. We went to couples therapy again. She said it wasn't the messages that hurt most. It was how fast she believed them. That a screen could override a decade. I didn't blame her. We'd grown distant. Not because of malice, but fatigue. Kids, jobs, life. The glitch wasn't the enemy. The silence was. It took months, but we found each other again. We set new rules. No social media after 9 p.m. weekly date nights. Joint digital accounts for transparency. Now, whenever Instagram buzzes, we check it together. Not out of suspicion, but as a promise. We face things side by side. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't fought. If I just let her walk. If I'd let the code win. But I didn't. I chose to debug our life. And together, we rebooted love. The message that changed everything. 3 months after the Instagram fiasco, just when we thought the worst was behind us, I got a DM. It was from Alyssa Jims 87. Not a bot. Not a fake account. A real person. Her message was simple. "Hey, I think we need to talk. I know what happened with your account." I stared at the screen, my heart thudding like a war drum. I showed my wife. She flinched. "What does she mean? She knows." I replied cautiously. "Who are you? What do you know?" She responded in minutes. "We were both victims. It was a test. My cousin is a junior engineer at Meta. He ran unauthorized code. I reported him. You weren't the only one. I froze. A test? We hopped on a video call with her. Alyssa, real name Marissa Gemma, lived in Chicago. She was part of a test pool for a UX update on Instagram. Her cousin had secretly added dummy accounts to follow and auto-like high-traffic mail profiles to test message alert responsiveness. She had screenshots, logs, even email exchanges between her and Meta HR. And just like that, a twist. It wasn't just a glitch. It was someone playing God with our digital lives. Meta had launched an internal investigation. Her cousin had been suspended. There was an NDA in place, but Marissa said she couldn't keep quiet. Too many lives had been impacted. When the call ended, my wife looked at me, stunned. We weren't just collateral. We were lab rats. That night, I wrote a letter. A public one. I posted it on Medium, Reddit, Twitter. Detailed everything. The false notifications. The near divorce. The audit. Marissa's whistleblowing. It blew up overnight. Comments. DMs. News requests. Others came forward. Husbands, wives, girlfriends, fiancés. Stories like ours. Trust burned to ash because of a test. A week later, The Verge picked it up. Then Gizmodo. Eventually, CNN. Meta issued a soft apology. Claimed the experiment was unsanctioned. Promised better internal controls. But it wasn't enough. They hadn't apologized to her. Or me. Or the 100 other families who nearly imploded. So I pushed. And pushed. Until finally, they reached out. We'd like to discuss restitution, their legal rep said. I laughed. This isn't about money. It's about truth. In the end, we settled on a joint statement. Meta promised transparency. I got to write a guest op-ed for Wired. And my wife? She held my hand the entire time. We didn't just rebuild. We led a movement. Because sometimes the only way to restore trust is to expose the code that broke it. When the apology isn't enough. The public statement gave us closure, or so we thought. But behind closed doors, the damage echoed louder than any press release. Marriages had ended. Trusts had fractured. And Meta's soft apology felt like rain on scorched earth, too little, too late. One morning, I received a thick envelope. Legal. The kind that smells like secrets. Inside, a formal apology. A check. $5,000 as emotional restitution. I stared at it. $5,000? For the weeks of agony, for the therapist bills, for my daughter's nightmares when she thought mommy and daddy were splitting up? I called their legal rep. Is this a joke? No, he said. It's an industry standard settlement. Standard. I didn't cash it. Instead, I reached out to a few of the others who had gone through the same thing. We formed a group, not a class action, but a circle of survivors. Some wanted justice. Others just wanted someone to listen. That's when I met Jonah. His story was worse. Much worse. He'd been dating someone for 3 years. They just moved in. Then the glitch hit. His girlfriend found DMs from his account to 10 different women. She moved out that night. Blocked him everywhere. He hadn't heard from her since. Jonah had tried everything. Meta ignored him. Their support portal was a maze of dead ends. He was falling into depression. He told me, I don't care about the money. I just want someone to believe me. That hit me hard. So I did something radical. I invited Jonah and 3 others to my house. My wife made tea. We sat in our living room like it was an AA meeting for the digitally betrayed. We cried. We laughed bitterly. We planned. And then we made a podcast. The Glitch That Stole Us. Episode 1 dropped quietly. But within days, it caught fire. People were tired of tech giants hiding behind code. We interviewed analysts, whistleblowers, even a former Meta employee who asked to remain anonymous. He said, internal testing gets messy. Sometimes, no one cleans it up. By episode 5, we were featured on NPR. Then The New Yorker. The story wouldn't die, because it wasn't just about Instagram. It was about power, trust, and the fragility of truth in a digital age. Meta contacted us again. This time, not with threats or settlements, but a proposal. A public roundtable. With victims, engineers, executives. It happened in San Francisco. Live-streamed. Viewed by millions. I sat across from a product manager who looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. Do you know what it's like to watch your wife cry herself to sleep over something you didn't do? I asked. He didn't answer. But the next week, they launched a new feature, Digital Trail Review. A full history log users could access, likes, comments, message origins, IP timestamps. Full transparency. Not perfect, but something. I still get DMs. From strangers. From people who heard the podcast. From tech developers who say, "Thank you. You made us better." I'm not a hero. I'm just a man who almost lost everything to a piece of bad code. And who decided that wasn't going to be the end of his story. The ones who never got closure. The podcast kept growing. We released weekly episodes, each one darker, more intimate than the last. Listeners called in, left voice memos, wrote letters, some with trembling hands, others too angry to hide it. And then came Ava. She sent us a message that stopped us cold. "My husband died thinking I cheated. Now I know it was a glitch. What do I do with that?" I remember reading it aloud to Jonah. We both went quiet. Ava's story became our next episode. She was a nurse in Seattle. Her husband, Sean, worked in logistics. Quiet man. Liked woodworking and Neil Young. One night, he got a notification. Ava had messaged an ex-boyfriend. The glitch had duplicated an old DM thread and timestamped it as new. He confronted her. She denied it. They fought. He left. A week later, he died in a car accident. No foul play, just an accident. But Ava was never the same. When she heard our podcast, she went back into their shared iPad and found the notification still sitting there. Timestamped during a known glitch window. That message, which wasn't real, had been the last straw. When she told us that, I broke down. We aired her episode with a trigger warning. The backlash against Meta reignited. Hashtags trended. Tech ethicists demanded third-party audits. Congressional representatives started citing our podcast in hearings. But none of it brought Sean back. Ava said something I'll never forget. "Your podcast gave me clarity, but not closure. I wish he could hear your story. Know he wasn't alone. That I never betrayed him." That's when it hit us. This wasn't about bugs anymore. It was about the humanity behind the screens. We had touched a nerve that ran deeper than code. So we shifted focus. We created a memorial page, Digital Ghosts, a place for stories like Ava's. For people who never got to explain. For victims of glitch-driven heartbreak, betrayal, even death. Meta never publicly acknowledged Ava's story. But we did. We held a live vigil. Online and in person. Thousands showed up. Candles lit. Names read. Screens dimmed. And in that silence, in that shared breath between strangers, I felt something new. This wasn't just a podcast anymore. It was a movement. A fight to reclaim truth. Not from people, but from the machines that mediate our lives. And we were just getting started. What the algorithm didn't predict. Our movement had momentum, but it also had enemies. The more episodes we aired, the more pressure Meta felt. We weren't just sharing stories. We were unraveling an industry's dirty secret. Their tools could ruin lives, and no one was accountable. And then we got shadow banned. It started subtly. Search traffic dropped. Our podcast episodes stopped appearing in algorithmic feeds. Instagram links stopped previewing. Our Reddit threads mysteriously vanished. I reached out to our host platform. Nothing flagged on their end. This wasn't technical. It was intentional. We'd poked the beast too hard. I called Jonah. "They're trying to silence us." He didn't respond for a beat. Then said, "Then we get louder." We launched a live stream marathon. 24 hours of truth. Guests from all over the world. Victims, engineers, whistleblowers, digital ethicists. Even a former Meta moderator who confessed they'd been told to delete certain flagged glitch reports without escalation. It was explosive. Within hours, we had over 1 million views. Hashtags trended again. Celebrities amplified our voices. A few lawmakers even joined the stream, condemning the tech industry's secrecy. Meta released a statement calling our accusations exaggerated and unfounded. But it was too late. The tide had turned. That same week, Ava emailed us again. She'd been contacted by a journalist at 60 Minutes. They wanted to do a full segment. We agreed. Taping the interview was surreal. Bright lights, makeup, long hours. But when it aired, something shifted. The world saw the cracks. Saw Ava's tears. Jonah's fury. My wife, holding my hand. Recounting the night, she almost walked away. And then the final image. Our daughter, Mia, holding a drawing that said, "We fixed it." The next morning, Congress announced a preliminary inquiry into ethical standards for social platforms. It wasn't justice, but it was motion. We weren't naive. We knew this was bigger than one glitch, bigger than one company, but it had started with us, with a misunderstanding, a misfire of code, and it ended Not with silence, but with a signal. We mattered. And no algorithm, no machine, no silence could unwrite that truth. The trial of trust. The congressional inquiry moved faster than we expected. Within weeks, subpoenas were issued. Internal emails leaked. A former Meta product lead confessed in testimony. We knew the bug existed. We just didn't expect it to reach that far. It wasn't criminal, not yet. But it was historic. For the first time, a glitch in a social media platform was treated as more than just a bug. It was framed as a breach of public trust. My wife and I were invited to testify. I almost said no. It was terrifying, the thought of sitting before a dozen lawmakers, cameras pointed, the world watching. But she looked at me and said, "We have to. For Mia. For Ava. For everyone." So we flew to D.C. The hearing room was cold. Stark. Packed. I wore the same tie I wore on our wedding day. We told our story. Every detail. I brought the printouts. The glitch logs. The report from the forensic analyst. I read Ava's message aloud. I showed them Mia's drawing. Half the committee looked ashamed. One of them actually cried. When we were done, there was a pause. Then applause, quiet, restrained, but real. Afterward, we were swarmed by press. Cameras. Questions. Supporters who whispered thank you in passing. But not everyone was grateful. 2 days later, I found my car vandalized. A note tucked under the wiper read, "Tech feeds your kid. Remember that." We went quiet for a while. Paused the podcast. Doubled security at home. Even considered pulling the plug. But then Jonah called. "You didn't do this for you. You did it for all of us." He was right. So we came back. Louder. Clearer. More focused. We launched a foundation, the Signal Trust, providing legal aid, therapy, and digital audits for anyone impacted by social platform failures. The first grant we gave went to a woman in Texas whose son was expelled over fake messages generated by a school's AI surveillance system. The world was broken, but we were building bridges. Every glitch, every tear, every testimony, it all led to this. Not just justice, accountability, and a new kind of trust. One not built by algorithms, but by people. Together. Our daughter asked me if the internet could lie. It was a Sunday morning. Pancakes, cartoons, a rare moment of quiet. Mia sat across from me at the table, syrup smudging her chin. When she asked, "Daddy, can the internet lie?" I choked on my coffee. My wife looked at me. Not with fear, but with that look we all get when our children ask questions too big for their years. "Yes," I said finally. "Sometimes it doesn't mean to. But yes, it can." She nodded solemnly, then asked, "Did it lie about you?" 12 years old. Sharp. Observant. Carrying memories of hushed fights and locked doors. "Yes," I said again. "But we fixed it. Together." She thought for a moment, then went back to her pancakes. But that question stayed with me all day. What happens when our kids grow up in a world where truth is optional, programmable, manipulated by code and corporations? That night, I wrote a new manifesto. Not for Meta. Not for the press. But for parents. The Digital Parent Pact. It wasn't just about screen time or filters. It was about teaching kids how to question algorithms. How to ask who benefits from a notification. How to know the difference between what's real and what's automated. We published it. Hundreds of families signed. Schools started reaching out. We ran webinars. Then weekend workshops. Our foundation evolved. From justice to education. Jonah, now a co-director, smiled one day and said, "We didn't just rewrite the code. We rewrote the curriculum." It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't viral. But it was real. And maybe, just maybe, Mia will grow up knowing that when the internet tries to lie, she'll know how to see through it. And if not, she'll have people who can help her debug the truth. A bug in the system, a fire in the heart. It's been 2 years since the glitch. 2 years since a rogue line of code nearly burned my marriage to the ground. And now, standing on a stage in Austin, Texas, holding a microphone at the National Digital Ethics Forum, I see just how far we've come. The room is packed. Parents, coders, journalists, students. Some brought their kids. Some brought their grief. I take a breath. And I tell our story. All of it. The glitch. The heartbreak. The trial. The silence. The fight. Mia is sitting front row, drawing in her sketchbook. My wife next to her, eyes locked on mine. When I finish, the room is silent for a moment. Then someone stands. Applauds. Others follow. Afterward, a man in his 60s comes up to me. He's holding a folded photo of his daughter, smiling. She thought her boyfriend cheated. Left him. Found out later it was a messaging bug. They never spoke again. Thank you for fighting for truth. And I realize it was never just about fixing a glitch. It was about giving people their stories back. In the tech world, they say every system has bugs. But some bugs are more than technical. Some infect trust, memory, love. They're invisible until they explode. But the antidote isn't just patches and updates. It's empathy. It's listening. It's never letting a screen speak louder than a soul. As we pack up that night, Jonah slaps me on the back. You ever think we'd be the glitch guys? I laugh. No, but I'm glad we are. And when we get home, Mia hands me her drawing from the event. It's a picture of a heart. Inside it, wires, screens, a family, a banner across the top, truth needs humans. She's right. That's the legacy we've built. Not perfect, not polished, but real. A bug almost tore us apart, but it gave us a mission. And now, it's more than just our story. It's a signal that no matter how advanced the world becomes, love still needs us to fight for it. Every single day. 9. Epilogue. The final patch. 5 years have passed. Our foundation now operates in 6 countries. We've helped over 12,000 people restore what glitches once stole, from relationships to reputations to peace of mind. Jonah runs our European chapter. Ava teaches digital ethics at a university in Washington. And Mia? She just built her first app, a tool that helps kids verify online messages. The irony doesn't escape me. Every year, on the date the glitch happened, we take a walk as a family. No phones. No screens. Just steps and stories. I still get nervous when my phone buzzes unexpectedly. But I don't flinch the way I used to. Because I know now the truth is louder than code. My wife and I are stronger than ever. Not because we were perfect, but because when the world gave us a script to fall apart, we rewrote it, line by line, hand in hand. And if there's anything this journey taught me, it's this. Love isn't measured in likes. It's measured in what you're willing to rebuild when everything breaks. So if you're reading this, and you're standing at the edge of your own glitch, don't give up. Don't let the code win. Write your truth. Patch what matters. And remember, the strongest signals don't come from devices. They come from us.